morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm Niele Anderson, wishing you a happy holiday season. I hope you're enjoying it like we are from time to time. But we have your headlines this morning that, of course, are trending and important to our experience. And I'm talking about Black folks.
Black folks. Does our producer have anything for us this morning?
Media. If you think about it, like in terms of like big macro pictures of like what's up and to the right, what's a green arrow? It's sports. And you know that because the owners of sports teams are richer and richer every year.
Yeah.
The Lakers we were just talking about. The Lakers were just sold at a price of $10 billion fucking dollars, right? Steve Ballmer, who buys the Clippers in 2014, he pays a record price of 2 point something. So just in that span, you get the richest people from tech especially, and now the Middle East, and now private equity, all these places with lots and lots of money. They're paying more and more. And the question is, okay, what do they want to do once they get the team? And sports is this fascinating place where you can't just buy the thing you want, right? So you could be the richest man in the world. You still got to win a title on the floor. And what's the best way to win a title on the floor in basketball? A 5-on-5 game. You have one of the best players. But there are these rules in the NBA around spending. And every NBA nerd, which I am, knows it's called the salary cap. But it means you just can't spend all the money you have. There are fair play regulations around spending, which, by the way, every billionaire will tell you if you dose them with truth serum, they fucking hate. Because it's socialist, because it's this thing that prevents them from actually spending the thing that they feel like they earned to get the thing they want the most. Like, why is Mark Zuckerberg taking MMA lessons? Why is Steve Ballmer buying a basketball team? It's because all these guys, they, especially in tech, they want to feel like not only are they one of the cool kids, and what's cooler than owning a basketball team, sitting courtside as the owner of a team, it's bossing around the jocks that you went to high school with.
They picked on you.
That stuff you in a fucking locker.
Yeah.
But so anyway, this is a long run up to saying Steve Ballmer could not spend all the money he wanted to on Kawhi Leonard. So what did he do?
Skirted the rules.
What I allege in my reporting, which I must say because I have not yet been sued or threatened with litigation by one of the 10 richest people in the world, I want to keep it that way, is that he allegedly came up with this scheme in cooperation with a totally fraudulent company to pay Kawhi Leonard a total of what was promised to be $48 million to do absolutely nothing.
So, Niele, I have a lot of thoughts on that. And I'll just say what my thoughts are. Number one, Pablo Torre, not to take away anything from his journalism. It is amazing to me how Black folks will sit there and listen and be amazed by an Asian person, a white person, who's giving them information that is so readily available to everybody, and they make it seem like, oh, it's the biggest reveal ever, and he's really spitting these facts that we don't know about, and this and that. Get out of here with that. First and foremost, the NBA did launch an investigation, and it wasn't just because of Pablo Torre's report. The NBA's investigation, and Pablo Torre said they hired the biggest and the best law firm. Well, that law firm found that there has been no wrongdoing on the Clippers' part. If Steve Ballmer wanted to start a company, he could start a company. Now, I understand skirting the rules, and then he tried to segue to Jalen Brunson's deal a few years ago with the Knicks, which there's absolutely zero to that. Because here's the thing with the New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Clippers and many others. But I'm going to talk about the Knicks and the Clippers because that's what he talked about. The Knicks are owned by Madison Square Garden, which is owned by James Dolan, which owns Rockefeller Center, which owns not Rockefeller Center, Radio City Music Hall, which owns the Sphere in Las Vegas. So my point is this, that if the Knicks was going to skirt the salary cap, it would have been for LeBron James. They could have, he could have said, hey, listen, I'll give you, because the Sphere was already in the works when LeBron was a free agent. I'll give you a part of that as a side deal. You know, we're talking billions of dollars right there. Radio City, I'll give you a deal for Radio City. We're talking, and I remember speaking to Frank Isola, one of the great sports writers in New York. Frank Isola, I said to Frank years ago, I said, Frank, why don't they do something? The Knicks do something. This Knicks was any free agent. Why don't they do something like this, Frank? Why don't they offer something on the side? He says that's against the cap, and the Knicks and James Dolan and the NBA will never do something like that. Kawhi Leonard, that situation out in Los Angeles. If Steve Ballmer started, it's not a fraudulent company. He started a company. He paid into a company, and he said, "Hey, my superstar." You get these superstars all the time to do endorsements. That was one of your endorsements that has nothing to do with your on-court earnings. It was not skirting the salary cap. They make it because this Filipino guy, he went to Harvard. Oh, we are so impressed. It must be true. Well, the NBA's own investigation, who Pablo Torre said is this great, great big law firm, said there's no wrongdoing here. I mean, I'm tired of seeing this stuff. Listen to the black press and stop listening to the people just because they're Latino or Asian or whatever or white. Black folks, wake up, get a clue.
Yeah, that's inside paint. Like yesterday when we were talking about Shedeur Sanders and me saying he's the NFL, you were like, well, no. And I was like, because see, there we go again. You are a diehard basketball fan, and what you're talking about, a lot of people don't even know. I'm one of them, but I believe what you're saying. And, even though I don't know all the nuances of what you were talking about, even when I heard him talking, I was just like, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And I was thinking about this great Hulu miniseries about the Clippers and Donald Sterling that you should check out on Hulu, because it gave you some insight to all of the things that you were talking about when Doc Rivers was there, what was going on with Chris Paul, even the things that Chris Paul got cut for this time around was an issue back for the Clippers back then. Right. And just, Donald Sterling and the ownership and the relationship between the coaches. So I know a little bit about what you're talking about. But, it's rich man's games. I can't even relate to those conversations, before we were talking about, we just try to out here make it. And he's talking about a whole different tax bracket.
And how is it such a insightful thought that rich people, these multi-billionaires, like to buy sports teams as a toy? How is that such a revelation? Certainly they love that. Certainly it's like a toy to them, but it makes them a whole lot of money. The New York Yankees, George Steinbrenner bought the New York Yankees in 1974 for $500,000. The New York Yankees today is worth something like $10 billion. Right. Of course, they're going to make money.
Right.
It's not just a toy. That's one of the benefits of being able to say, yes, I own a team. Mm-hmm. But the biggest benefit is that they're making the billions that they have. Well, they're going to triple and quadruple that amount.
Yeah. And I like to see, even thinking about Steve Ballmer, just watching, because I was working with Mayor Butts, helping him get elected out here in the city of Inglewood when they were trying to bring the Clippers to Inglewood. And I remember how Madison Square Garden was so pissed that they raised up a candidate to run against Mayor Butts. And it was Steve Ballmer who backed Mayor Butts. And Ballmer made a lot of commitments to the community. And I think as we have these conversations about ownership and what they do, we should also be concerned about when they come into our communities and they want our support, that they support and fund community organizations, form like after school programs and things in the communities. I'm more concerned about what these owners are doing in the communities that they place stadiums and they place these players in. And that's a whole nother part of the conversation too that gets overlooked.
Yeah, and just a footnote. I mentioned all the things that Knicks owner owns, right, including the hockey team, but he also owns the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles, in Inglewood. It's like, yeah,
not anymore. No, Steve Ballmer owns the Forum in Inglewood.
So he must have sold it to Steve Ballmer recently, because I know for a long time James Dolan owned that Fabulous Forum.
He doesn't. Steve Ballmer owns the Forum. He
Okay.
owns the new Clipper Stadium, and he's done a lot of investment in the city of Inglewood under Mayor Butts, who is Black, under his
Mhm.
leadership. So yeah, he owns the farm as well.
Okay. Well, but that's to my point though. It's like these guys, they this idea of skirting the salary cap. But I mean, they have so many other ways in which they can do it. They don't have to establish no fraudulent company. They have so many other interests that they could say, hey, here's an endorsement deal.
Right.
So I mean, miss me with all of Pablo Torre nonsense and black folks like sitting there like they're watching Saturday morning cartoons with their eyes popped out. Give me a break.
Well, did he have a point, Stacy? Did he make
He
a
had
point?
no point. He had
Oh,
no point. He tried to, bring all that Harvard stuff. It's like sometimes
it seems
go
like
ahead.
Joe Budden doesn't fall for stuff like that, though. I'm surprised he fell for the banana in the tailpipe, as Eddie Murphy would say.
Banana in the tailpipe. But again, this is not stuff that you needed somebody from Harvard to come and tell you that this might be going on. Believe me, the NBA has always not suspected, but watch closely how teams do business when it came ever since the salary cap was implemented. So this believe me, if the Clippers if there was any wrongdoing, they would need a reporter to tell them that there was some wrongdoing. And that's just how I look at it. No, I know the conversation. Greer saying the conversation was about more than that. Yeah, I know it was, but the
Well, what else
headline for
was it about?
everybody.
What else was it about? Tell me.
Well, again, I mean, he touched on some of it with the owners and the playground that the sports leagues are pretty much for the owners, and there was some other stuff. Only thing I know and that I paid most attention to was the fact that how they've been boosting this idea that the Clippers circumvented the salary cap. He talked about the betting too. Yes, he did talk about all that. The betting is a huge problem in the NBA. Now that conversation is one that they need to have more. That part of the conversation.
But is that with
Every
the
time-
player? Is that about the players or the
Well,
owners?
no. So the owners are making the money from doing the deals with FanDuel and Caesar Sportsbook and all these other,
Okay. Okay.
they are making. But here's the problem, Niele. The players, Major League Baseball just suspended, and probably for life, two pitchers. Well, one pitcher for the Cleveland Indians and another player for betting on baseball. Pete Rose, of course, can't go into the Hall of Fame or couldn't go into the Hall of Fame all these years for betting.
I remember that. I remember that.
And you got all these other the referee, the idea that that field goal. We talked about the field goal the other day. Why did he kick that field goal? Right? There was no reason to kick that field goal. Is it because they were trying to meet the point spread? See, it's all of that stuff, the cheating that becomes not just from the fans, of course, the betting, but the players. The players have you got NBA players being arrested by the FBI because of the betting. And now you make it so tempting. It's all throughout the game. You go into any arena, FanDuel is everywhere. Sports book this, sports book that.
See, I didn't realize that. See, I didn't realize all of this was going on. And so my question is, should betting be allowed in sports like that?
Yeah. Well, so that's a good question. And if you ask me, my answer would be absolutely no, because you are risking the integrity of every single game. There was an NBA referee long before the sports betting came into it. I mean, Pete Rose and all of them was before the sports betting, but the NBA referee, Tim, was it Donahue or whatever his name was sent to prison, right, for throwing games.
And this is all happening as it's been legalized within the sports, or was this before? Is this happening because of it's been legalized?
It's happened before and it's happened since.
Is it happening more?
It's happened. Well, we're seeing. So yes, it appears to be happening more because you remember Pete Rose got caught, and perhaps he wasn't the only one, but we never found out. We never knew for a fact whether or not it was anyone else back in the 80s, right?
Mhm.
But today, you're getting players arrested, charged federally for throwing games or manipulating the scores. You got
Okay.
players claiming injury that they don't have, or players missing free throws that they would, or intentionally missing free throws that, you know, you got a 95% free throw shooter and he goes up to the line with the game on the line and he misses 2 free throws. The suspect.
Right.
suspect.
Well, they said that the Cleveland Brown game, what the coach did was suspect. Maybe he felt like he was on his way out then. From what I'm hearing from you, maybe he felt he was on his way out and he was like, forget it. Let me win the bet.
Not just that, Niele. Right. That's the part, the bet part, right? Then you gotta wonder. 2 points. A lot of times the spread is 3 points, right? And got to come within this amount or that amount. If I put my best player, Shador, in there, he's going to score. So let me lessen the chance of us scoring without it looking so suspect. Well, it looks suspect.
So then it's like, okay, so we know the players are doing it, but what about the owners? What about the leadership? Are they doing it too?
No, see, here's where the owners come in. It's the owners who are making all this money by aligning themselves with FanDuel, aligning themselves with Caesar Sportsbooks and all those other gambling sites and gambling firms. They're enriching themselves by billions of dollars. They're making billions of dollars off these deals. It's like they used to be brought to you by General Motors, brought to you by, you know, Miller Beer. Now it's brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is pouring a whole lot more money into these sports leagues than GM and Miller and all those other companies ever did.
And where does Donald Trump sit on the side of all of this? Is he for this? This helps me make my decision. This is going to help me make. Where does he sit on all of this?
I don't know. I don't know, but I will say emphatically, it does not matter. First of all, you know, wherever the billionaires go is where Don's gonna go, right? And these are all billionaires we're talking about that's making this crazy money. And the player should be, it's a temptation for sure. But you know, Michael Jordan famously used to go to Vegas in between games and drop $1 million in Las Vegas, you know. And so was other players. Charles Barkley's a huge gambler, or at least he was. I don't know if he still does. I don't follow him. But these players, they gamble. And generally, when you find such highly competitive individuals, most of the time they're going to be gambling. They gamble, and so I think about the owners. They're highly competitive, so most likely they gamble. So, look, it's a serious situation, and it'll never go away. It will not go away because there's too much money involved.
And now it seems like they've opened this Pandora's box with these betting companies and allowing them to be a part of it. So it just amplifies and makes it worse, the situation worse.
Yeah, as the RNG says, that sports betting is out of control, too much money involved. The players, owners, and fans are all involved. Exactly. You got, you know, you see these, mostly these are, you know, these are staged, but you see videos online of somebody breaking the TV because the team lost or missed a point or whatever, and they're like, oh, all I needed was a point or two or whatever. That stuff, art imitates life. People are committing crimes because, you know, they missed the spread or something like that. It's out of control. It's a disease. Gambling is a disease. Gambling addiction is a disease.
Yeah.
So that's where it's at. I mean, you know, we need to have some folks on here to talk more about that, to get a more nuanced conversation on that, because it's a really good conversation. I just didn't like the fact that Joe Budden and them, you know, was Google-eyed over this guy who, anyway.
So you don't think he was saying? You thought he was saying a whole lot of word salad. He wasn't saying nothing.
Yeah,
okay.
Listen, I maybe let me put it this way. Like I think I tried to say earlier. they just put too much weight on what he was saying. When it was like this bombshell stuff he was dropping. Give me a break. And it's like black folks, stop don't let the color fool you. That's all I'm saying. And I know Button is usually really, really different, but he gave this guy this platform and made him look like he was some sort of genius, breaking all this revelation
Damn,
stuff. Give me a break.
Stacy a hater. That's not what happened.
I'm a 50 cent
I'm
level
like,
hater.
damn.
He invited Pablo on because first of all, he didn't. Joe did not like something, and I can't remember what it is now because it's been a minute. He didn't like something that Pablo said, so he invited him on the show to address it. They got into it. They got into a various topics, so they weren't googly. They were, giving him space to speak like you're supposed to, but they weren't googly-eyed. I wouldn't say that. Stacy watched. That's how he heard it. You know what I mean? Because he didn't like what they were saying. But Mark and all of them, they asked pointed questions. I didn't feel they were being googly-eyed. They were being respectful. But he came on there because Joe was heated, and he came for him.
Like Stacy, so Joe was heated, like Stacy was just heated.
Right.
You're not gonna leave me alone this morning.
We got both of us got to jump on his back, and you be like, I ain't jumping on his back. You gonna jump on his back.
I get it. Okay. So see, Stacy, Joe Button was like you, and he invited the guest on to give his POV. What's wrong with that?
Now listen, folks taking his word as bond. His word is not bond.
Okay. We got more headlines, y'all.
Yeah, we do.
That was a juicy conversation. I learned a little bit. I didn't realize betting was so much in our sports system right now. I had no idea.
Yeah, it permeates it, Niele. It really does, unfortunately. And I also think that's why if you watch basketball, I know you do watch some basketball anyway, certainly the women's, but that whole so-called Euro step thing, they've outlawed so many things that they've legalized so many things that used to be outlawed. Like, that Euro step is a travel. Give me a break. You're walking, you're taking a train.
Sports,
but anyway,
NBA is just not the same to me anymore.
No,
they don't have any stars.
They're just not as competitive either.
Yeah, they don't have to me, they don't Steph Curry, LeBron James.
Yeah, it's not stars you like.
It's not star power like it used to be. And to me, it seems like the female basketball league has that factor that the NBA used to have. And I know the NBA can get back to that because I used to love it, but now it's just
the women and it's not just the star power, Niele, that the women have. It's more competitive. It's more enjoyable. I mean, the stuff that they throw out here today, give me a break. The game is just, the game has gotten boring, and that's because they are trying so hard to, the scores now, they want 140 points to be scored in the game instead of, that good old fashioned Miami Heat, New York Knicks, Chicago Bulls, Isaiah Thomas, and the Pistons.
The Lakers had Showtime. They were known
and the Lakers had
Showtime.
Yeah.
And then you looked at Boston and you thought about Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Dennis, the freckle guy. They were, knew
Dennis Johnson, the late Dennis Johnson. Yeah.
Karl Malone, the mailman. You knew who these individuals were on different teams. I don't know none of them NBA people. None of them.
Yeah. Well, and even if you didn't know them, it would be better if you didn't know them and they were competitive, that they were giving you that, you could pay a couple $100 to go to the game and you feel like you got your money's worth. Because a lot of times, even if your team wins, you don't feel like you got your money's worth.
And Big Cheese, please. Nobody cares about women's basketball. Nobody cares about that comment. Okay, I be trying to defend you, but don't get carried away.
Again, all that means it's too black for him. That's all.
We love women's basketball over here, and it's growing. That's why they're in a bidding war right now. because they know their value and they're not going to play around. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I'm excited about
It's
this.
like, yeah.
This
I,
upcoming.
one other note before we get into the rest of our headlines for the day. And RNG started off the morning with this. He says, "Happy Wednesday," and the white Latinos and Hispanics are starting to wake up. In Miami, a Democrat was elected mayor. It took 28 years, but my question is, will this continue? Also, Georgia flipped the seat. Well, yes, Eileen Higgins became the first Democrat to win a mayor's race in Miami in about 30 years, as RG said. So that also made news overnight as well, or last night anyway. So that's
Right. Yes. And
a win.
Big Cheese women's ratings are growing. Okay. They're on TV more now. Pick your battles. Okay. Pick your
Well,
battles.
you don't know already.
Thank you, Dr. Marilyn. Dr. Marilyn says, yes, we do, Niele. Yes, we do, sis.
Listen, if you can argue with somebody who's
let's
going to
just
tear
keep going,
down black women,
Stacy.
yeah. Rod Page, and let's move on. Grizz got Eileen Higgins up there, but on a sad note, Rod Page, an educator, coach, and administrator who rolled out the nation's landmark "No Child Left Behind" law as the first African American to serve as U.S. Education Secretary, has died. He was former President George W. Bush, who picked him as the nation's top federal education guy. And George announced his death in a statement, but didn't provide any further details. But Mr. Page was 92 years old, and under his leadership, the Department of Education not only implemented the No Child Left Behind, which became George Bush's signature education law and was modeled on Page's previous work as a school superintendent in Houston. The law established universal testing standards and sanctioned schools that failed to meet certain benchmarks. And as a result of the work of Page, who was born and raised in Mississippi, and he went to Jackson State, by the way. Yeah, how about that? The department received its second clean financial audit in a row in fiscal year 2003, and it was only the third time in the history of the department that had happened. So his leadership was really strong.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep his family in our prayers, and he's now an ancestor. And we lost another civil rights leader, Stacy. She was a member of the Clinton 12. Her name is Joanne Crozier Allen Boyce. She passed away this week at 84. And if you don't know, Miss Boyce was one of the 14 when she was one. Oh, she was only 14 when she was one of the 12 who helped pave the way for school integration in the South at Clinton High School in Tennessee in 1956. So, just talking about education, no child left behind, before, he was able to climb, she walked the way for him. And so when we look at our Black leaders, it's a continuation of, the plight of Black folks in this country.
RNG says JSU gave an excellent tribute yesterday to Mr. Page.
Yeah, and tributes for Miss Boyce as well have been pouring in. Two education icons that contributed to the Black experience.
There you go. Also yesterday, a federal judge granted the Justice Department's request to unseal a voluminous set of grand jury transcripts and evidence from a sex trafficking case in New York against Ghislaine Maxwell, the co-conspirator and friend of Jeffrey Epstein. District Judge Paul Engelmayer granted the request after the Justice Department renewed its efforts for the material to be made public after Congress passed and Trump signed a law that requires the department to disclose records related to the past investigations. But how transparent will it really be, Niele?
Yeah. They probably redacted everything by now,
Everything.
right?
Everything.
Right. And so, it's going to be like the release of the last files and the pictures from Epstein's estate that really told more detail probably than these files that the DOJ will release. But there's always hope, because there's always whistleblowers. There's always individuals who before Trump Trump took office who have seen the files and know the files. Hopefully they have made copies of the files. And those will trickle out.
Yeah. And by the way, welcome back, Nagon11. Haven't seen you in a while. And someone has said happy belated Founders Day to Nagon. So there you go. The Trump administration announced that American farmers will receive $12 billion in relief aid as they struggle to keep their farms afloat and as costs continue to rise and markets continue to decline. The one-time payment is intended to provide farmers with a much-needed economic boost as the markets endure the effects of Trump's tariffs. But the Grill reports that while farmers welcome the economic relief, Black farmers, none of whom were invited to the White House's Monday roundtable, are likely to see little, if any, of the benefits because of the cultural and historic barriers that are there. And of course, Trump's decision to be racist against the Black farmers. They're not going to get anything. John Boyd, who represents 150,000 Black farmers nationwide, said it's not targeted for us in the first place. They're not expected to get anything. He explained that due to institutional barriers and the cultural mistrust Black farmers have of the federal government as a result, of course, of decades of racial discriminations, most Black farmers do not report their acreage to the USDA, which is part of the requirement to receive the latest $12 billion relief. They don't do it, Niele. They do not report this to the USDA for a lot of reasons, including it's that type of reporting for centuries that have cost Black farmers their lands. And
I mean, it's stories like this that explain to us and remind us why representation matters. Because Senator Raphael Warnock has probably been one of their biggest Black farmers, biggest advocates within Congress. And when he came in, and that was one of the promises, and he stood tall on it. He introduced the Justice for Black Farmers Act. He introduced the Emergency Relief for Farmers of Color Act. In 2022, he was able to get $20 billion in a bipartisan passing of the bill if farmers could prove discrimination. And we know who are the most discriminated against: Black farmers. And so all of this work, all of these strides, easily torn away because of somebody like a Trump. But as we look at the midterms next year, this is a perfect example of why representation matters and why in America we have to have a makeup of all ethnicities, because if not, shit like this happens and Donald Trump just totally erases the most vulnerable but the most productive. When we think about farming, you know, we have the Black farmers, but think about all the Latino, the brown people who pick the crops. That ain't white folks. So the most vulnerable, and the most hardworking are left out of this scenario. That should disturb our Black and brown communities.
Yeah. It's really a shame that this is happening to them. They have been in this fight forever. And of course, to have this guy, and this is the same guy, Trump, who claimed that white farmers in South Africa were being discriminated against, even lyingly saying that their lands were being stolen from them, which was happening and has been happening to Black farmers here and Black people here for centuries.
Yeah,
so it's that projection.
Indians and indigenous people and brown people. You know, for since 1864. It's been happening, you know, just always wanting to take. But Democrats, they always miss the mark. This is the opportunity for them to have Raphael Warnock front and center with some commercials on, talking about what Democrats under his guidance has done for farm workers of color, and why when the midterms come up, this is why you need to vote blue. Because if you want to stop stuff like this from happening, I'm your guy. If you want to stop it, and guess what? I was able to work with your Republican counterparts that y'all love so much to get this done. I mean, it's just like you miss the mark, Democrats, every single time. Where is Raphael Warnock front and center talking about this? The Democratic Party should be pushing him out front and center on every news circuit to talk about this issue and why it hurts Black folks and people of color.
I told you need to go work for them.
It's just ridiculous to me. They miss the mark every freaking time. Every time.
Every time.
He should be front and center.
Yeah. I listen. Niele has had it. She's had it, y'all.
I mean, it's like, come on, guys.
Every time. Also another news. She's fired up, and that's what makes me laugh. She's fired up.
Because when you think about it, it's like Marvin Gaye. It makes you want to holler. Okay, because it's like nobody knows about the impact of farming on people of color better than Raphael Warnock, because he campaigned on it, he fought on it, and he won on it, and he was making strides. So why wouldn't you use the voice to rally the base?
And again, Greer points out, it's a great point that circulated yesterday too. She says Trump doesn't care. He calls Black women the B word on live TV.
Yeah, he did.
Imagine that.
He told Omar, Rep Omar, to stop bitching. And then he turned around and said, he was like, Black people know about scammers. They know about it all so well. I mean, he cut a fool yesterday. He acted like he was back on the campaign trail, and it was like, oh my God, not again.
Well, just at a Klan rally. Just at a Klan rally. That's all. And it's just so bizarre that, again, that people like Byron Donalds and Tim Scott, they will never call it out. It's so absurd. And what was worse, and Greer's right, the cheers when Trump said that, the cheers that went up. But Black folks, including those who come on this program, who watch this program, who support Trump, will not call it out. They won't call that out.
But I mean, it doesn't. They don't even matter. The percentage of them is so low. I mean, it's not.
I understand that, but
it doesn't.
You got at some point. It's like, show some backbone, show some heritage, some pride. You got idiots here who will say exactly, excuse it as, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. Yeah, I mean, listen, it is Trump being Trump, but it's okay that you just go along with it. We're supposed to be, you're supposed to be, I should say, foundational Black folks, and you allow a white supremacist to call your Black women B words and other things and worse. I mean, give me a break. So it takes away any legitimacy you may have claimed to have had, as a quote unquote foundational Black American. You have no legitimacy when you sit there. I saw Joy Reid, calmly and nicely tear Stephen A. Smith apart, for his misogyny and against Black women. And so, come on, give me a break. Ben Crump is at it again, at the good stuff. He announced that a Gadsden County jury has returned a $779 million wrongful death verdict for the family of Louis Butler, who was a security guard shot during an armed robbery while working at a business described by court filings as an internet cafe at the center of allegations of illegal gambling activity in Havana, Florida. The case centered on allegations that the business operated by Fortune MGT 2023 LLC was negligent. I can't even speak now. I'm upset. Run and failed to take basic safety steps after a prior gunpoint robbery at the same location in 2023, October 2023. So good for this family. Good for Ben Crump has been on the job and doing it better than we've seen anybody do it.
Yeah.
$779 million verdict, Niele.
Yeah, he is the Black Attorney General. Okay, that we've elected him as the Black Attorney General. I think Attorney Lee Merritt would be the Deputy Attorney General. And it's good to see stories like this because it allows us to know that justice for Black folks is still moving forward, that there are still individuals on the front line doing the work, whether they're in the news headlines or not. And we are still the village protecting one another. When I see stories like this, because before Ben Crump was like, he was part of the news cycle every day, some channel he's on. And so you see less of voices like this, but it's good to know that the work still continues.
Yeah. Wow. Well, great for Ben Crump and that family and so many others that he is really helping them through their grief, their hardships, and other things. So again, good for Ben Crump.
And nothing helps grief more than some money. There's some money, okay?
Listen, even if it means right, because when you have something like that, Niele, most times therapy and everything else is needed. All that costs,
right?
All that costs, and what you lost, and what you talk about what you lost and what you stand to continue to lose because of the absence of certain individuals. Because you lost certain individuals, somebody may have lost the head of their house, right? How do you measure that value? And so $779 million to me, I appreciate the fact that he swung for the fences and hit a grand slam.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit more about civil rights in this country. Governor Ron DeSantis has declared the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a U.S. civil rights and liberties group, he's declared it a foreign terrorist organization. Wow. Now, the move closely follows a similar order issued in November by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, 2 red states, Florida and Texas, and leaders of the America Islamic Relations. They have promised a lawsuit and said the state had no legal basis for such a declaration. This is horrific on many levels. Number one, because we do have Black Muslims. And number two, this is a civil rights organization. And so think about our Black civil rights organizations, the NAACP, the Urban League, organizations like Black Lives Matter. If they're being singled out to be on terrorist organizations, they could do the same to us. So this is like one of those examples when it's their fight, it's also our fight. When we were talking about immigration and we were like, it's not our fight, we began to see that it is our fight. And so them doing this, and then, like I always say, the number one threat to terrorism in this country is white men. And so they're getting further away from the truth and picking on people of color.
Yeah. There you go. You said it. And you have to be really ignorant not to see that this is about Black people.
Ultimately, it will be. It'll come down our block. And we're going to be so stunned, God forbid, they do the same thing to the NAACP. Not the NAACP. Well, I mean, the writing is on the wall. And look at how it's being done. It's being done on a state level.
Yeah. And as far as care, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
As far as care is concerned, I've spoken with them. I get all of their news releases, all of their statements and things of that nature. It's a very well-run organization. I have not ever seen any twinge of that they are some sort of terrorist group or whatever DeSantis want to spew. These are people who are working for their people.
Right. And think about what the Civil Rights Act was. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Think about what civil rights are. How can you call a civil rights organization a terrorist organization when all you're fighting for is equal rights,
Yeah,
basic rights.
they do very similar work that the ADL does. The ADL protects the interests of Jewish individuals and Jewish organizations, and CARE does the same for Muslims. So there you have it.
Civil rights organizations, Black ones, it's like we are the foundation of all of that. So when you think of Black organizations, think about what's happening to them.
Megan 11 is saying the same thing you always say, Niele. Look what he wrote.
I don't see. Oh, the FBI is, they're the number one threat. It's not us, it's them. And they continue to get further away from the truth and create these lies. And this is a form of terrorism. The lies.
Yeah.
The lies. And speaking of civil rights, the King family has responded to a story we told you about earlier this week. The National Park Service is dropping free entry day on MLK's holiday. Well, King's son said that it's beyond disappointing and pointing out that Martin Luther King Jr. Day has long been a national moment of reflection and service. And he also pointed out that it was established by Congress with overwhelming bipartisan support to honor the legacy that still moves our country towards justice and unity, he said. And Bernice King added that while she mourns the move, she's even more troubled by the systemic issues like poverty, military, and racism that continue to plague this nation. And so they are speaking out. And of course, Donald Trump said you got to pay on Juneteenth and King Day, but he's basically gearing towards giving himself a holiday.
Yeah,
his birthday.
and you best believe that this is just the preliminaries. He's going to remove those holidays for sure. And as you said, institute one of the newer holidays he'll institute is Trump Day. He's already, that's, we see the writing on the wall there. So. Yeah.
And he's going to disguise it as the 250th anniversary of the nation. His birthday so happens to fall on that day. So he's already has his ammunition ready on how he's going to spend it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As the pastor says, get ready, get ready, get ready. All right. Let's head to New York. The New York New Borough Council voted this week to approve a capital reserve fund for an African American burial ground memorial site in Downing Park. Now, the matter has been in the works since 2008 when human remains were found under the former Broadway School. That's the school right there. Currently, 99 exhumed bodies remain of African American children, women, and men, and they're being preserved at a local college. And then the site was a burial ground beginning in the 1830s through the 1860s. After which, during the passage of time and redevelopment, its identity was lost during the 20th century. Now, the city has assigned $1.9 million for the reserve as a recent construction is estimated. So, these lost souls, this has happened all across the country. You see this all the time. But these stories now are being more hidden and buried. We used to see them all the time. You rarely see them. But this is like one of those situations, like from the National Negro Anthem, Lest We Forget. So kudos to this city council in New York that's making sure that these ancestors have a proper burial site.
Yeah, Newburgh is going upstate New York. That's where, oh boy, that's where the Tawana Brawley situation happened. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's head down to Yale, where the department that studies people of African descent in the United States, the Caribbean, and Latin America has changed its name to the Black Studies Department after 55 years of being called the African American Studies Department. Now, 3 professors in the department told the news that the change was made to reflect a growing number of new professors whose regions of study extend beyond the United States. Now, the Trump admin or clan, whichever you prefer to call them, still has not explained the addition of Trump's. Oh, that's a totally different story. I'm sorry, it got mixed up, y'all.
Okay.
Story. Let me go back up. That was I knew something was missing with the other story. But the bottom line with this story is, do you think, Stacy, that they changed the name because of all the DEI conversation and regulations that Trump is, imposing on different institutions? Do you think they changed it for that purposes?
I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure that changing from African American studies to Black studies is going to help.
Well, I figure African American says DEI. And then, the definition of Black studies, they're making it broad to where it's not about African Americans. It's about just Black people.
Yeah, right. And I don't think that that's going to fly too high with the Klan either. So we'll see. but to the short answer is I don't see any other reason why they did change it.
Right, but for that purpose, right? To maybe try to find a loophole.
Exactly.
So we'll see if that flies with the Trump admin, to see if Black studies is okay instead of African American. Now, do you think that the Trump admin is gonna make us make the B lowercase again? Because remember,
he can do all he wants with that. The Black press, will continue to make it capital B.
It's a capital B, but he might say no, lowercase, or make it a capital W. Yeah. If they get a capital B, we get a capital W.
Yeah, well.
And now let's talk a little pop culture before we get on up out of here. The trial for Keefe D, the LA Crip arrested for being involved in the murder of Tupac, his trial has been pushed back. Now, this is due to a flood of new evidence in the trial of the former gang member whose real name is DeJuan Keith Davis. Now, the trial is now currently set for August 2026. And it's been moved about 4 times. Now, his attorney requested that the trial be delayed due to the volume of discovery they need to access. And the prosecutor did not object. Now, Keefe D has been incarcerated since he was arrested back in September of 2023. And all of the speculation is, does this have to do with that documentary? And are they now looking into P. Diddy?
So the thing with these trials, we hear a lot about trials, murder trials, in particular being, delayed or pushed back or whatever. One of the benefits of that, if you are a defendant, and in this case, Tupac was murdered in 1996 or something like that, 7, wherever, somewhere around there in the 1990s. We're getting further and further away, and so any witness that is called, a good defense attorney, any witness called by the prosecution, a good defense attorney will certainly use the fact that, are you sure about this? This was 40 years ago. How could you be so sure? And they can really trip up a witness, even if that witness is telling the spot on truth. But because it's so far away, it benefits the defendant in this case. So whether it's about the Diddy trial, or whatever, it does benefit them to have it pushed back further. The downside is that he stays incarcerated while he awaits trial. Now, Dr. Maryland says, asked, didn't Keefe D admit he killed him? Then why have a trial? He has not admitted that under oath. He has not admitted that to police.
What he did to the police officers, it's actually in the documentary. He did acknowledge it. He wrote it it was in a book. Not that he pulled the trigger, but he was, affiliated with Tupac's murder.
Right.
Yes, he did admit that.
Right. So he's charged with the murder of, which he said he's not guilty of. He's charged with the murder of Tupac, right?
He's charged. Yeah, no, for being involved.
Okay, so then it lends weight to Dr. Maryland's question. I don't know that you can't have it both ways. I mean, if you admit under oath that you did something, then you can't take that back. Now he could have told the police that, or unless his defense is going to be the classic, well, they made me say I did it. If he actually told the police that he did it, that's his
Yeah, I
only
mean, if
defense.
you look at the if you look at the documentary, he admits to being there. He admits to that they did it. He's saying that they did it. But he also in this documentary talks about how Diddy put the bounty on Tupac
Mhm.
and Suge Knight's head. And
Right.
so with all of this new discovery, one questions, is this part of the reason? You know, are they going back? Are they, you know, because this is typically how the Justice Department works. You know, I've seen it happen many a times. You'll be in prison like Diddy for one thing, and then they're able to go and then they'll pile a whole new case on you. They'll do that. And so that's why many are questioning, does this have anything to do with Diddy, especially since the attorney went and asked for more time because of all this new discovery that he so-called been revealed to him. And then you have this documentary that is saying that you hear Keefe D say that Diddy and the middleman and him getting the payment and then him only getting half because Suge wasn't killed. So it just makes you wonder.
So here's the very latest I see, Niele, that he pleaded not guilty to the first-degree murder charge, and his attorneys, the defense argues, his attorneys are arguing that his previous admissions of involvement made in interviews and in his memoir were for, quote, entertainment purposes only. They also filed a motion for dismissal, which the judge denied. But they're saying that these admissions and in the documentary you speak of were for entertainment purposes only, and they also claim that he never told a police officer or a law enforcement personnel that he did the crime. So he is saying not guilty.
The audio's there.
Right. And they're saying that that's for. I'm just saying this is what his attorneys are arguing.
If he did that for entertainment purposes, his ass need to go to jail because that's some stupid shit.
Right. Why would you tell the police that? Why
really?
would you
I'm not,
he in the street. He knows
to
not to be saying no mess like that. That's stupid.
Yeah,
that's
listen.
stupid. And the thing
I am
is,
not defending him. I'm just telling you the facts. The fact is that this is what he's.
Suge knows exactly who shot Tupac, and he has kept that to his chest. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people in that inner circle, Mace, all of them, they have some idea, and they're never going to say it. And to me, Mace is the only smart one in this thing because he ain't saying shit.
But again, Dr. Maryland asked the question, and this is how our justice system works, right? You have a right to a trial, and he's elected that trial, and his excuse, which sounds very, very flimsy, that what his admissions were only for entertainment purposes. It's dumb, yes, but that's his defense.
I mean, yeah, but I think I see what you're saying, but you know, there's more to this than that. I do believe there's more to this, and I also believe that it's all in connection. You know, Diddy should be concerned. He should not. If I was him, I would not be sitting comfortable right now, because there's probably all types of deals being negotiated for, you know, to try to tie Diddy to this. I mean, it happens all the time.
To your point, I mentioned reasons why it's positive for a defense, a defendant to have a trial pushed back so long. Well, the other side of that too is what you're saying. Could it be that he is working on a deal to, you know, say, hey, Diddy was the one? So that's very plausible. But folks, our justice system says if you plead in court not guilty, you have to have a trial, whether you did it or not. And I agree with y'all. Ain't no way in the world he gonna go on a documentary and say he did this and he didn't do it. You don't say that you killed Tupac Shakur unless you killed Tupac Shakur. You just don't.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I say I encourage you to go. Maybe it's in episode 3. Where he comes into play and you hear all of this audio for him, and he basically takes you through. And see, I've never heard this audio before. Apparently this audio is extremely old. But he takes you through the entire scenario, and they show the video footage.
Right.
They talk about the chain being snatched. Like, these are all things that we knew, but he's actually saying it, and he's actually pinning Diddy and this drug lord, this drug kingpin out of New York, who was the middleman who actually introduced Diddy to all of the Crips in LA.
Yeah.
And he talks about how they were in a hotel room one night, and he said that there were like maybe 20, 30 Crips in the room. And he was like, he couldn't believe what he heard Diddy saying. Diddy straight up put $1 million bounty out on Tupac and Suge's head. And when only your boy Tupac was died, he said, I'm only giving y'all half. And the middleman that he gave the money to allegedly took the money. So it's all in the documentary.
Well, and that dude, he's from Chicago and he's dead now. So you can't really see, to me, that's where you have the problem.
That's where
because while the story is framed very well, there are some inconsistencies that I don't think the director realized. And so to me, but here we are, you're saying it's entertainment. They are able to build a case just like they did, with Keefe D off of a story. And that's why I don't know why I'm just sorry. It seems it happens too often with Black men where they get on these platforms and tell their business, or and they're bragging about their sexual prowess. And now you in a rape case, because you wanted to say that you had sex, with so many women and, and how they wanted to, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy to me. But there are, I don't know if they're building it based solely on this, like these documentaries, as much as as good, as well put together as this piece is, there are a lot of inconsistencies and holes in this documentary.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm only basing my thoughts off of what Keefe D said.
Right.
I'm not basing it off of what the holes in the documentary. I'm basing it off of what I heard him say. Everything that I just said, he said. And to Dr. Marilyn's point, yes, he did write a book. He did write a book. It's in the book too.
And Greer was mentioning all the holes, and that's what a good defense attorney is going to point out too. But the other part, y'all mentioned the money part. Now, did he give him cash? Or did he wire money to an account? Because if he wired money to an account, then prosecutors can trace that. And that would be the end of Diddy right there. Now, if it's cash, unless you have that on some sort of tape, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder. But if he wired $500,000 to somebody, then you can connect it easily.
It was a gangster. It ain't no wire,
Ain't no wire.
And he's dead. Okay.
It was a suitcase full of money.
He's dead. So that's gonna be a tough.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. But I can see.
And the reality,
trying to tie it.
Right. And the reality is there are Black men locked up in prison for less. Without question. And so if they can find a way to keep this Diddy in jail longer, they will do it.
Look, if that judge that he had anything to do with it, he's gonna stay.
Listen, if they don't get him on Tupac, then 50 will be doing the Kim Porter story next.
Oh gosh. Is 50 got his own Niele? Do you think that his own come up is coming?
Well, I tell you what, Ja Rule and Marlon Wayans, they gonna team up and do their own documentary on 50. I think Ja Rule is stepping up his game, and he's putting out. I didn't realize how many pictures that 50 had with Diddy, because the way that he talks about it, once Diddy said something to him, he never dealt with them again. There are pictures with 50 in hot tubs with Diddy.
What?
Hugging Diddy. I've never seen these pictures before. And so it's like, what's really going on, 50?
Trixie said he needs to worry about his own story. I'm saying, listen, none of these guys, 50's been shot, 9, 10, 11 times or whatever. So he's got some things in his closet too.
Well, the word on the street is 50 is a bitch and he's a snitch. And so I mean, but his behavior dictates that. Okay, his behavior it dictates. I've never seen a grown ass man be
Yep.
so catty. You know what
About
I mean?
another
Like
man, right?
every day, and now he's on Jay-Z. It's like, what is it?
Yeah,
Because they
now
don't
he's
want to
on
play?
Jay-Z.
Like, is it
Yeah.
because they don't want to play with you? Because they don't give you the respect that you think that you deserve?
Can
Like,
Jay and
what
Puff
is
come out to
wrong
play?
with you? What is wrong with you?
Right. I've been asking that question for a long time. What is it, the real deal? And every time I think, okay, it could be this, it could be, it's like, no, it can't be. What in the world? And now you have to wonder. I saw what Marlon Wayans and Ja Rule and them have been saying, posting. Look, oh my gosh.
Now, what's that? Y'all arms is touching. And
Oh,
that's not Photoshop.
that's not AI.
No, and the thing about it, he's not saying anything about the pictures. He just went and did like a Skittles, Marlon Wayans in a bathtub of Skittles. And I also find what's problematic about 50 is that he's using AI. So now you're really like making things up, right? You're using AI to be facetious. And it just makes him look horrible to me. I just feel like it's not cool. Diddy is where he needs to be, but why are you in his business? Get out of his business.
Dr. Mellon said 50 said Diddy tried to hug him from behind and take him shopping.
I mean, there's so many pictures of him and
But
Diddy.
even
I
if
never
that's
knew they hung
true,
out like
is
that.
right? But even if that's true, if Diddy tried that, okay, we know 50 ain't for it, right?
We don't know.
But why?
We do not
Well,
know.
right?
We
Okay,
do not know. Okay, we don't know.
Let's assume he's not for it. All what I'm saying is that enough to make you go on this crusade about this man, like you said, being all in this man's business constantly? That he's in prison.
And another good point they brought up is like 50 is out there talking about he's doing it for justice for the victims. Well, how much of the profits went to domestic violence organizations or to the victims?
Yeah. That's a great point.
So
And
it's just
the
like
victims had their day in court. They had their day in court.
And we know why he's really pissed off at Diddy, because Diddy took his baby mama.
See, that's what I thought that had to be the issue here. Look, one of the things that a dude can't stand if somebody comes along and snatches his woman. I mean, look, I always thought that was the impetus behind all of this. That was what was going on here, but it just seems like it's even more than that.
But so I'm not on either side. But
right.
When I never thought about this before. But when you I thought about this morning for some odd reason. When you step back and look at it, Diddy has had a child by every one of his so-called ops. Everyone. Mm-hmm. Every child that he has was with a woman. The women were with somebody he didn't like, or he wanted to get in their spot. Everyone, even the Courtney. What other thing is it? Courtney? Is that her name? The one that was
Chance's. You talking about Chance's mother?
Yeah, Chance's mother. Even I just found out. I never realized that she used to go with Tupac. Mm-hmm. So it makes all of this. That's the thing about it. It makes a lot of the narrative in this documentary seem plausible, because everybody he couldn't stand or hated or he wanted their position, he has a baby with. I mean, that's a fact. Listen, you can say all of it's not, but that is a fact. There's something odd about that, wouldn't you say?
Oh yes, it's diabolical.
Yeah, that's some diabolical stuff right there. It's 50. Like, I mean, these people coming out of nowhere, 50s, girl.
Wow.
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
And Chance came out of nowhere because he and remember Kim, where it seemed like they were on their way down the aisle. They just had twins, and they were all in essence and the whole thing. And then out of nowhere, she's done. And he's having a baby with somebody else.
Right.
I mean, if that was crazy. So, I mean, that's what that gets people. I mean, Yo,
Yeah,
Wow.
makes
yeah, he's definitely one. But to Trixie's point, yes, 50 did beat up his baby's mama. He did. And he
Oh.
went to court. He was arrested, he went to court. I think he pleaded not guilty, but yes, he has. And it's on record. Okay. So that is
Wow.
true. Trixie also said, to Greer's point, Diddy is just petty. It's called checkmate. That's her response.
It's called checkmate.
But
There you
yeah, I
go.
mean, it's too many people that was in Diddy's inner circle that are speaking out and that are saying basically the same thing,
Right.
which makes it all plausible that these things happen. And it was so funny. Somebody was saying that Diddy's mom came out and released a statement saying
Yes.
that he didn't slap her, but they were like, out of that entire documentary, that's the only thing you rebutting. Not that he's a woman beater or he's a sexual abuser, but you just wanted to be clear that he didn't slap you.
Wow. Wow.
And that's a great point too. Like you could have went a little deeper than he just didn't slap you. You could have said a little more that he didn't do X, Y, and Z. But the only thing that you said he didn't do was slap you.
Wow.
So this conversation will continue, as you can see from all three of us, Greer, Stacy, and myself. We're watching it, we're paying attention, we're watching the latest developments, and we will continue to bring them to you. And
I just find it fascinating. Like Greer, I'm not taking a side. It's just wild. It just shows you too how Hollywood, how fame just screws you up totally.
Oh, you think it was fame that screwed Diddy up?
They wouldn't be doing all this if they wasn't famous. They wouldn't be able to do all this if they wasn't famous.
Well, Diddy I can see Diddy being a hustler without the fame. I can see.
Oh, the hustler part, yeah, but he wouldn't have the. I don't think he would have the liberties that he had because he was Diddy, because he was a billionaire, because he was take that.
Pimps do that all the time. Okay, Pimps was doing that back in the 70s, Stacy.
No, I understand that part, but I don't think that women, long story. But
Pimps got hoes, Stacy. Pimps got a lot of hoes, okay? Diddy had a lot of hoes.
God.
Pimps have hoes, okay?
Oh boy.
ain't no fun if the homies can't have.
Oh, here we go.
I mean,
Here we go.
what Diddy is doing, he did it at a high scale, but I mean, they doing that in the hood all the time. Unfortunately, it is not okay. I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying.
Oh God.
There's a lot of men doing it with a lot less.
A lot less.
Right, and that's the sad part. Like the come up was real for Cassie, for Daphne. And there's some women out there, unfortunately, that's why we got mad at the Me Too era, because it was like all of these high profile women who pretty much had a choice, but they wanted to be in the game. They wanted to be a part of Hollywood, versus you have like somebody at Denny's or a secretary that needs to take care of her family, a single mom at home. She has no choice. That's the difference.
I'm with Dr. Marilyn. I'm with Dr. Marilyn on this, but I could be wrong.
He only had hoes because he has money. That part is very well true too.
Yeah. All right.
So last story on a good note, as we look at winding down the new year, we're also going to be, highlighting some things. And the African American Film Critics Association has voted Warner Brothers' vampire thriller Sinners its best film as the group revealed winners of its 17th annual award ceremony. So Sinners ended the year huge, big film this year. It was probably one of the biggest films of the year, most talked about of the year, and now it's ending the year being honored by us. Okay, Black folks, the African American Films Critic Association. So congratulations to Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and the entire cast. And on a final note, the black woman that played the voodoo woman, or the practitioner, the holistic practitioner. There are conversations about her not being nominated for, it was an Emmy or a Critics' Choice Award, and they said that she was snubbed. So yeah.
All right. Quickly, some Black history facts before we get out of here. On this date, folks, in 1950, Ralph Bunche becomes the first African American to receive the Donald Trump coveted Nobel Peace Prize. A native of Detroit, Bunche began working in the U.S. diplomacy field at the State Department and Office of Strategic Services in the 1940s. A few years later, Bunche was hired to work for the United Nations, where he served as an aide on the UN Palestine Commission to control and put a stop to the tension in Israel. In early 1949, Bunche stepped into the lead position when the chief of the UN's mediation division passed away. Bunche died in 1971 at the age of 67.
Yeah, Donald Trump could never. Okay, he can't even order peace in the own country he runs. But we remember Ralph Bunche. And thank you, Nicole Daniels. It was a Golden Globe that she got snubbed. And so there's conversation circling around that. And on today, we remember Otis Redding, who died on this day in 1967 in a tragic plane crash that killed him and members of his band, the Bar-Kays. And this was just as his career peaked, with Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, which became a posthumously #1 hit. And so we remember him. And then we'll end on a fun note. In 1985, Whitney Houston achieved her first #1 pop hit, How Will I Know, with her mother, Cissy Houston, singing back up. So those are a couple of music facts for today.
And RNG says he sees that the O.J. Simpson documentary didn't make the list. He says, well, somebody will get cut for that.
Oh, RNG.
Listen, let him go
now
to
that was some dark humor.
He'll be all right.
That's what you call dark humor.
He'll be all right. Once he sees JJ Fad again, he'll be all right.
That's some dark humor right there, RNG.
Oh my gosh, what is this? Whitney's was originally intended for Janet, but
Jackson.
And her team felt it didn't fit the new musical. Okay, well,
good, because I think it was a better fit for Whitney. So that hey, sorry, Janet. Can you imagine Janet Jackson singing How Will I Know?
No. I'm gonna say a blanket no. Whitney. Anyway, folks, we got some new news on Black Press USA. So
head over. Head over there.
Thanks for watching. Let it be known, folks. We will see you again tomorrow.